Okay, so this is an origin story, and not just any origin story. In fact, it's the story of one of the world's most influential empire, the Ottomans. Now, the thing with the Ottomans is that their origin story is actually a bit of a mystery. Hi, my name is Misha and welcome to Tarihi Tales. This video is going to be part of the Ottoman series where I talk about Ottoman history. Now, we do have some clues as to what it could have been, and I'll tell you those in a bit. But you need to understand that whereas most empires or most dynasties begin with either a battle or with the birth of a person or something, there is some kind of indication that, okay, this point is where the empire began. But with the Ottomans, we have a different kind of an origin story. Now, the official year that the people in Turkey basically kind of mark the beginning of the empire is the year 1299. Now, in this year, there were no battles, no conquests, no declarations of independence, but still, that is the year that has been taken to kind of mark the beginning of this glorious empire. Why? Right? But according to historians, the simplest explanation is the one that's the right one in this case. Well, simply because the year 1299 coincides with the Islamic calendar year of 699. So, by an incredible mathematical coincidence, the centuries turn on the same year in both calendars. And considering that this is an empire that kind of conquered the a whole lot of the east and a whole lot of the west, it's only suiting that the year 1299 be picked as the origin year. Now you must be thinking that how can an empire that ruled so long not even know how it originated? There were courts, there were historians, somebody must have written something about it, right? And that is true. We actually have the first mentions of an origin story through the Ottomans themselves. They're themselves telling us that this is how we originated. And that text is written almost 150 years after the death of Osman. And Osman is the founder of the Ottoman Empire. He's basically the person on whose name the entire empire is named. Ottoman is like a derivation of the word Osman. Their histories don't give us a date. They don't tell us that this year, this battle, and this empire began. No. According to them, their story began with a dream. Now, these histories say that Osman was basically sleeping in the house of a holy man called Edebali, and sleeping in his house, he had a dream. And this is how the dream went. Now, Osman saw a moon rising, and it rose out of the chest of this holy man, and it came down to sink in his own chest. A tree then sprouted from his navel, and it grew so big that its shade encompassed the whole world. Beneath the shade were mountains, and streams flowed from the foot of each of these mountains. He saw people enjoying the water and basically living around happily. When Usman woke up, he told this dream to the holy man, and the man replied, Usman, my son, congratulations, for God has given the imperial office to you and your descendants, and my daughter Malhoun shall be your wife. Now, as I mentioned, the first ever that we hear about this dream is almost 150 years after the death of Osman himself. But the thing is, that's the first ever written record that we found of it. Historians do speculate as to if this dream is true or not, but the thing is that the Turks were recording their own histories. They did have traditions where they would narrate histories orally to each other in the form of songs, poems, tales, and similar tradition is actually found in other areas of the world as well. For example, where we live now, which is the subcontinental area. But because this was something that wasn't very common in the West, Western historians initially dismissed these ideas. Now, obviously, something like a dream cannot be vouched for because it's just so personal, right? You don't know if that's true or not. But there definitely have been other things that have been mentioned in these origin stories, starting from Osman's father, the man called Ertugrul, which modern historians have found that are probably all true. So we can believe possibly that there could have been a dream. We don't know for certain. But that is the origin story that we're given by the official accounts of the Ottomans themselves. If you guys want to know what those stories say about Ertugrul exactly and all that evidence-based research historians have done on him personally. I have a whole other video about that and I link it at the end of the episode. Now, we do find records in surrounding empires because remember, like the Turks were basically in the heart of Anatolia, and around them there were big empires like the Byzantines. They were also writing and recording their own histories and of the people around them. But initially, when an empire starts out, obviously nobody knows this is going to be such a huge empire, and they weren't important enough people in the beginning to write about them. However, we do find the first mentions of a battle that took place between Osman and the Byzantine Empire in the year 1301. So even the date of 1299 as the beginning of the empire seems plausible, right? I'll tell you more about this first battle that kind of shook the Byzantine Empire in the next episode, which will be next week. Okay, bye.